something. You want to find something for your children to do during the summer because you don't want to let them, to just stay in the home and just do nothing. All right. So if you already purchased or you already buy some textbooks or workbooks at home, maybe you can tap 1. So I will see if there are already some parents buy maybe the textbook or even the workbook to our children. Maybe you can tap 1 in the chat box. Or maybe you want to buy some textbook, or you want to buy some maybe practice books for your children. You can also tap 1 in the chat box. All right. Okay. So basically, I'm gonna do like a self-introductions. So I look a little bit different with my photos there. So basically, my name is Yulai. I'm gonna. Oh, there's 1. Please tap 1. Yeah. Okay. So basically, actually, my name is Yulai. So I'm the math competition teacher in Center Academy. And I also graduated from Boston College and earned a master's degree of mathematical finance. And I also earned a Bachelor of Science of degree in math at UC Davis. So that's why I'm the person who's gonna share you some information about the textbooks or the workbook usage. And I'm also the person who really knows about elementary study and also the middle school and even high school math study here in the United States. Yeah, so basically this is a little bit about our content list. So today we're just gonna cover several topics. So the first one is about the textbook that like what schools here in Cupertino, they use, what kind of textbook they use, and also about our workbook stuff. And the final and the last part is about how to choose appropriate workbook or textbook for your children, maybe in the summer. All right, so these are basically the 3 different textbooks and also the 3 different workbooks I'm gonna introduce tonight. Yeah, so it's including the Go Math, including the Section Math, and also including the Math in Focus, and also the workbook I'm gonna introduce about the Kumons and also the BIS Academy and also some Singapore Math. All right, so first part will be the textbooks. So before we do the textbook stuff, I think everyone is familiar with like the Common Core stuff. And basically, if your children is study here in America, you should be familiar with the Common Core. So Common Core is just like a general standard academic of core stuff. So basically, we have a standard for each grade students. So which course or which kind of things they can understand or they should know based on their grade or based on their age. For example, here is a Common Core stuff. Actually, it's a national-wide academic standard. So for example, here we have a 3rd grade Common Core stuff. So in this one, I think based on the website, American government is required the 3rd grade students to master the knowledge, how to multiply and divide within 100, and they can also do the sum and the subtractions in 1000. So basically, when your children is after maybe at the 3rd grade or even after the 3rd grade, they should know how to do this kind of things. But the thing is, this Common Core is kind of national-wide stuff, and it's the whole standard for the whole America. So, but the issue is in different states, the education level should be different. For example, we know California is a little bit more advanced. So in that case, Common Core may be a little bit slow. But for other states, for example, like Utah, Montana, and Mississippi, something like that, yeah, the Common Core should be a little bit even faster or should be in the average of it. So in California, we should actually, the California students, they should study a little bit more advanced than Common Core here. All right, so these are the textbooks I'm gonna introduce today. So it depends on which school are you in, and maybe, I think some parents may be familiar with this kind of 3 different books. Okay, so the first one is the Go Math. So does anyone know what this Go Math is? Or any ideas? Or did your school already use this Go Math as your textbooks? Yeah, so basically Go Math is basically all the public schools here in Cupertino. They will use Go Math at least as some reference to teach students about their math. Yeah, and this book is really, really corresponding to the Common Core stuff. Yeah, for example, 3rd grade Go Math is basically taught about exactly the same things that Common Core needs. And this book, actually, I just go through this textbook, and I see this book is really, really explorations, and it's more logical, and they really focus on the fundamental math of study. So basically, this book is really thick. It's even more thicker than the textbook I use in college. It's even thicker than the calculus books. Yeah, it's really exploration. So it can help students to think about and to find the depth of the knowledge or the definitions behind the math stuff. All right, but the thing is, instead of, because it's so in details, which means this book is a little bit tedious. Even I cannot look through every pages of my textbook when I go to college. I mean a really thick calculus textbook. So it's really difficult, or maybe insane, or maybe impossible for a third grade students or fourth grade students to go through every page in this Go math books. So actually this book is really good, but it's not appropriate for students because it's too thick and the student cannot go through every page. And another issue about this book is the exercise is really easy, and it's not sufficient enough to help students to master the knowledge that they go through already. So my suggestion is, if you really want to purchase this kind of textbook for students to maybe self-study about the math, you should also purchase some workbook or exercise book, maybe to help students also to do some practice. Because for math study, just look through all the knowledge points is not enough. We also should do some practice or some questions. All right, and here you can see here, I just take a photo about the Go math textbook, and you can see from here, for each knowledge point, actually they gave us 2 different ways to thought about this point. And for each topic, they gave us 2 different ways. So this way is really great to help students, to maybe enlighten themselves to think about, oh, how we gonna solve this kind of questions. All right. So, but the thing is, as you can see from the last page, here is their exercise part. It's really simple, and it's not enough. It's only 10 questions. So it's not enough for them, to memorize all the knowledge they study or all the points they just look through. So which means they need some more exercise. Okay, and the second one is about the section math. This book is basically, I think if your children is already in Basis or Stratford or Challenger, you should be familiar with this kind of book. Yeah, it's called section math. And this book is basically more direct. So actually, this book tells the knowledge to students more directly than Go math. They will not give students much about the thinking questions. But the one advantage of this book is they have lots of exercise questions. And it's really helpful, to build the foundation of math, and also help our students, to master the knowledge they just studied. So because they have so many practice, which means they can memorize those knowledge points really easy. But the thing is, because this one is more focused on the practice, so they are not focused on any, the guidance or the thinking stuff. So maybe you're gonna use some guidebooks, and also, you can do some extension problems, because all the exercise in the section math is not advanced enough, but it's really basic. It's a large amount of basic questions, but it's not actually, if you really want to let your children to do some advanced problems, this one is not enough. You should also buy some other extension questions. Okay, and you can see here, this is really different from the Go math part. Yes, for the knowledge explanations, it's only like one part. However, in the written practice, they have like 30 questions, and it's more complex than the Go math. So actually, section math is really good to help students to either review or do the self-study. Yeah, but the thing is, they still need to, if you really want to let your children maybe to think about more math stuff or math definitions, then you should also buy some guidance books. Okay, so this is part of the this is part of the section part. So all the Stratford, Challenger, and Basis, they will use this textbook for math study. Okay, and the last one is about hackers. So I also received a question that some parents may be curious about what hacker use for the textbooks. Yeah, so that's why we have the Math in Focus here. So basically, all the hacker students, they will use Math in Focus. And this book is like more advanced. And it's actually 0.5 or half a year faster than the Common Core. and they have more extension questions than the section math. They also have lots of practice. But in this book, the Math in Photos, this book have a lot of basic and advanced practice, which including some challenging questions. But this book actually is more appropriate for some students who already has some basic understanding of math. Yeah, this book is not really it's not really friendly to the beginners. It's to the intermediates. Yeah, and you can see from here, the left one is basically the second grade of Math in Photos. It already have some long word problems, to test students their basic understanding about questions and their ability to analyze the words. And also in the right side, they have the kind of like, this is the fourth grade of Math in Photos. They have so many different word problems, which can actually test our students the comprehensive ability about math study. All right, so basically this is the like a summary table, to just compare all the three different textbooks. And you can see from here. So basically in summary, it's only in one sentence, Go Math is basically it's good for students to self-study, but it's not enough for students to, to do enough practice. If you want them to practice more and also memorize all the basic knowledge, maybe Go Math is not enough. And section is basically good, it's really, really good, helpful for students, to do the self-study part, and because it has so many questions. Yeah, but if you really want the students to maybe think about more math knowledge or math concept in depth, then section should not be enough. And for the Math in Photos stuff, because this one is more faster and more advanced, so this one is more appropriate for students, who already is not a beginner. It should be like the intermediate or even some, a little bit higher level of students. Or this book is also appropriate for students if they really have much interest in math. Yeah, so this is all the summary of these three different textbooks. Okay, there are also some parents coming inside. Okay, so basically this page is about actually the different math progress with the private schools and also the public schools. So you might think about, because Stratford Challenger basis, and actually the public schools, they are using maybe similar textbooks because section math is also corresponding to the common course. But the thing is, why the private schools is a little bit, we all heard about that. Private schools study math is more faster than the public schools. Yeah, how does that happen? So basically, as you can see here, in public schools, the third grade students only take the third grade textbooks. However, in Stratford and also in Basis and Challenger, you will see when the students go to the third grade, they will use some fourth grade stuff. Stratford, they will study section math intermediate 4, and Challenger, except the intermediate 4, the teacher will also give some extra worksheet. And I also heard about that Challenger is trying to transfer their textbook to their own things, but I'm not quite sure yet. I don't think they have already transferred right now. So they still use a section math right now. And for the basis, actually they will also use a section math grade 4. And as you can see from here, in the 5th grade, they will study the course 1, and they are also do the course 1 from all the Stratford, Challenger, and Basis. And so in that case, for the Stratford students, they will finish the pre-algebra by the end of the 6th grade, and they can go to the algebra 1 in the 7th grade. And also do that with a Challenger. And for the Basis, because Basis is more advanced, so for some students in Basis, especially after the 5th grade, after they go to middle school, some of the students, they can study about the section math 8/7, which is already the pre-algebra stuff. And so in that case, the faster student here in Basis, they can study the algebra 1 in the 6th grade. Also for the Harker, because Harker uses some different textbooks. And Harker, basically, it has 3 different programs. In Harker, from kindergarten, Harker will have the 3 different level of class, which we call the P1, P2, and P3. So P1 is basically the lower level. So for example, in 3rd grade, if a student, for example, we just use like a 3rd grade students. So if that student is in a P1 class, they will use Math in Photos 3rd grade class, 3rd grade textbook. And if that student is in the P2 class, then they should use a 4th grade class of textbook. And also if this student is in the P3, then they should use a math in photos 5th grade. So there are already like 2-year gap between Harter's P1 and P3 class. And also for the 4th grade, Harter's P3 class will use a course 1, which is kind of like a middle school part. And so in that case, in the 5th grade and in the 6th grade, some of the Harter students, they can skip the pre-algebra part. So which means they can directly get to the algebra 1 in the 6th grade. And the last column is about our Senior Academy own progress. Yeah, so just as a Stratford and basis, or even Harter, yeah, Senior Academy 3rd grade students here in Senior Academy will study the Common Core 4th and 5th level of class. And in the 4th grade, Senior Academy students, they will study Common Core 5th and 6th. So in that case, in the 5th grade, they will study pre-algebra, and in the 6th grade, they will also study the algebra 1, which just catch up with the same level of the faster track of the basis and also the Harter P3 class. Yeah, so this is our Senior Academy own track. Okay, and after the textbook things, basically we can use, I'm also gonna introduce a little bit about our workbook stuff. Yeah, and I think this part is more, interesting than the textbook part. All right, so based on the workbook, we have like 2 different kind of things. The first one is like a school focused, which means we're just gonna help our students to review about the concepts that we study at school. So I recommend these 2 kind of the workbooks. The first one is about the section math. Yeah, it's a like student workbook. And another one is called Kumon. And if you think maybe the section and the Kumon may be too basic and you wanna actually challenge your children, maybe for even higher level of math or even math competition, you can try the Beast Academy and also a Singapore math. So I will introduce this one like one by one. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to type in the chat box. I will also answer, I'm really happy to answer the questions, after I finish this webinars. All right, so the first one is just the section math. For example, I've already introduced about section math textbook, and now it's about the workbook stuff. Yeah, so it's just like its textbook. So for the section workbook, it's really, really good for students, to just do a large amount of practice until they can finally understand the whole concept of the math. Yeah, so you can see there, we have so many questions in the section math, and we have a very, very large amount. But the question here is still have the same issue, which is very, very basic, and they are really, really easy. So it's just a large amount. And it's basically, if your children maybe lack of calculation part, it's really good for students to practice the calculation. Yeah, because calculation, basically, you just need to practice a large amount of question and then to improve your speed. This is kind of section book part. Okay, the second one is about the Kumon. So the Kumon, as you can see, here is just the 4th grade Kumon here. I searched on Amazon here. So actually in Kumon, they separate into different modules. We have multiplications, divisions, and decimals, and also we have geometry part and the word problems. And for Kumon, we also have some English literature part, including reading and writing and so on. Yeah, as you can see, basically in the Kumon, we just separate it into different modules or different topics. This is really, really good if you're already clear what is your weakness about your children. For example, maybe I just really did really bad in the division part. So which means you can just buy the division textbook, division workbook. And you can see from the right side of the page, all of them, the same page is just 2 digits divided by 1 digit. And the question is all related to the same part. And also in the middle of the page is about fraction topic. And you can see these word problems are always surrounding with our fractions. So it's really, really helpful, for the improving your specific part. If you think your decimals, maybe it's not very good, you can just do the decimal part. And if you think maybe the word problem is your issue, then you can do the word problem part, or the multiplication part, or the additions, or something else. Yeah, and the second one, yes. So this is like a kind of summaries. So Kumon is we can help our children to do the module improvement, and you can also consolidate the basic math skills. Yeah, but the one issue for the Kumon is, and this one is also work for the section math. It's basically fit for the younger age students, and it's fit for the students maybe have weakness in math, and it's not enough if you want to maybe give some challenging questions or do the math competitions. You need to get some other textbook. And that is exactly I'm gonna talk about later. Yeah, so for the school work and for the basic part, I recommend the Kumon and also the section math. Yeah, and for the challenging part or even the math competition part, so we have the BIS Academy. I think someone already have some BIS Academy here. Yeah, maybe at home. And also another one is called Center for Math. And I know that there are so many different Center for Math workbooks. And I'm gonna maybe introduce some that may be appropriate for you. So for the Center for Math, basically we have that 3 different kind of things. So the first one is like a basic or like a schoolwork stuff. Yeah, it's basically similar to the section math. It's more focused on the basic. And the middle one is a word problem challenging question. This one is more advanced. It's more difficult than the school levels, and it's because it's all the word problems. So it's really helpful if your students is lack of the reading, or maybe is not doing really good at the word problems. You can buy the middle ones. And for the last one, it's called the dimension math. This one is a math computation approaches. And this one is actually the question in this book is more challenging and more difficult. And this one is only for the students, who want to get some prize or get some accomplishment in the math competition. All right, as you can see, this one is just a photocopy of the last one, the basic ones. As you can see, there are all like some basic questions. And as you can see, but it also have some challenging questions, but it doesn't have a lot. So it's basic practice. So, and especially if your children is study here in Center Academy, for this kind of book, you should use 1 year in advance. For example, if you're teaching the 3rd grade class here, and now you should practice with the 4th year's Center for Math problem, the workbooks. Yeah, and the second one is about our challenging word problems. So the first one, as you can see, the question here is more challenging here, especially the middle one. There's a total of 21 shapes and dots, and they have a 60 letters altogether. So this is basically like a classical chicken and rabbit problems. So it's more based on the Common Core, but it's more focused on the word problem, and it's a little bit challenging compared to the previous ones. And the last one is basically about the dimensions math. It's more like a math competition approach. You can see from the content list, they have many different topics and many different modules. So if you want to do some math challenging problems, including the squares or including something else, maybe you can just go to the dimension math. Yes, and this one, but the thing is, for dimension math, because they are like module part, so which means the knowledge points or the knowledge topic is a little bit messy. So you maybe need to figure out, so which one, the topic you want to practice is located in which book. And another thing is this book is a lack of guidance. It's only give you some answers or the brief explanations, but you still need to, maybe if you don't know how to do this one, you still need to ask your parents or ask a teacher about that. Yeah, and actually this book is really great for Center Academy students, to practice as an after class work. Yeah, because actually our problem is just have the similar or even more difficult than the dimension math. So I think the dimension math should be a very good practice after class practice. And another one is BIS Academy. This one is really famous. So I think many of my students already use this one. And I also see that one of my students, they also do this kind of book during the class time. During the break time when they come here for the class. So basically we have 2 different parts. When you buy the BIS Academy, they will give you 2 different kind of books. The first one is called the guidance books. And as you can see here, it's almost, full with the manga stuff. And because it's really interesting. And the students, basically, they can read the stories as well as studying the math skills or some math formulas. And also they will have a corresponding workbooks. And they are all about the question over here. Yeah, so this is our BIS Academy things. Yeah, but the one issue is, even though this one is really fun, it's really funny, but the thing is, maybe the students will just, read through the stories, but have less attention on the math knowledge or the math formulas here. Okay, and you can also see here, and BIS Academy is just similar to the dimension math. It has different topics, different modules from, this is like a content list for the BIS Academy here, from the 2nd grade to the 5th grade. So The black part is just some basic topics, and for the red pen, the topic with the red pen is more focused on the computation part, including the perfect squares, variables, and countings, and also division logic, something like that. It's like a math computation topics, and it's like a combination of different topics, including the basic and math computation, and also the advanced topics. Yeah, and this one is actually, there's one issue about the BIS Academy is they are kind of unsystematic. So for example, in the G3C part, in BIS Academy, this topic is about the variables. However, it combines the single variable problems and the multi-variable problems together, and they will let the students to do it at once. Usually, from my experience from the teaching the third grade students, it's really, really hard for them to understand what is a variable represent for. It's really, really abstract stuff. It's not easy for them to understand why x equals to 3 or x plus 1 equals to 4, x equals to 3, something like that. However, so BIS Academy just combine all this single variable and multi-variable things together. And also it happens in the fourth grade. Actually here you can see they have the multiplication part and also the exponent part. It's really hard for students to catch up or to understand this kind of knowledge at once. So if they really want to use BIS Academy, then parents sometimes need to help our children to decide which topic is more appropriate for now and which topic maybe you should leave for the future. So in that case, BIS Academy is a really, really great book for you. Unless, as long as you can actually know which knowledge part or which module you can start now and which module you can start later. Yeah. And here is basically the advantage and actually now some disadvantage about our BIS Academy part. Yeah, actually it's interesting topic, really helpful for students to enlighten their basic ideas, and also they have different modules and topics. Yeah, and here's another part. For example, here BIS Academy, we have a 4B part. So 4B is basically our counting modules. So we have some arithmetic sequence, and we also have the square array part, and some product rules, and also some inclusions in exclusion part, and some permutation combinations. So they all combine so many different things in one chapter. So in that case, after students finish all this chapter, can they basically understand everything? No. Actually, we can now make sure that all our students, after they finish the 4B chapter, they can understand or they can master the arithmetic sequence, square array. There's so many different topics. Yeah, to study, actually, especially you want to study in depth, step by step, until you fully understand the whole concept of math. This is a good way to study. So it's not just, we just go through all the questions and then we are done. So otherwise you may forget all of it. Yeah, so here is how Think Academy students or how Think Academy, we teach the kind of counting theorems to our students. So in the second grade, we're gonna teach some basic stuff, including the enumerations. And in the third grade, we teach about sum and product rules. And in the fourth grade, we study permutation combinations. And in the fifth grade, we study again advanced permutation combinations. So each year, we basically review some part of it, but we also go more in depth. So in that case, the student can finally understand the whole concept. And they can use this method or even the skills they earned or they get from the math book. And then they can use them to do some math to solve the challenging math questions. So this is the good way, for students to study, and we need to study slowly, not hurriedly. Otherwise, it just mess up. And here's also another thing is, actually this is part of our textbook, and this is how it goes in Think Academy 1 class. So the first part is we have math operation 1. It's just like a basic counting theorems. And the second one is just our filling number method. And in the math operation 3, basically you can see we have some other limitations or some other challenging points. Just remind our students to pay attention to this difference or the changes. And also in the math operation 4, we have some more challenging part, which gonna fully help our students to understand the whole materials of the whole class. Yeah, and finally is, I think this actually the most interesting part, or maybe you are interested in how to select or how to choose a correct, appropriate textbook for you, for your children. So basically, here's my suggestions for the lower age, including the kindergarten, first grade, or second grade. I recommend the Kumon, and also some section math. Especially, you know that maybe my children is a little bit behind, so you want to do some more practice in the summer to catch up with other students. Yeah, the Kumon and section math will be perfect. And also, if you already know that where is specific witness about your children, then you can just buy the Kumon with a specific topic and let them do it. Yeah, for the module improvement. And also, if you really want to help your children to improve some word problems, then the single per math is more appropriate. And for the math competition part, BIS Academy and Dimension Math will be perfect. And here, if you are already a Think Academy student, maybe here is a recommendation here. So basically for Think Academy student, because we are already studying in advance, so if you want to have some more practice, then you can do 1 year in advance. In that case, it should be challenging, or otherwise it's kind of review part. Okay, and then I'm gonna move forward to the next part. And I'm also gonna introduce about other resources. So this is basically, if actually it's more appropriate if you already wanna let your children to do some math competition part, including the AMC 8 or some math group, but it's more like AMC 8. So the first one is called the MOEMS, MOEMS. This one is really like a combination of the math competition topics. It has so many different topics of the questions, and it's covered all the ages from the 3rd grade to 5th grade. So it's kind of a combination or the comprehensive exercise book. If you want to buy it for your children, then I think for some of the questions they might lost, but for some of the questions they might understand. And the second one is from the Alpha Star. So this one is the AMC 8 practice test. This one is if you already or plan to register, because I know the AMC 8 will be the January next year. If you plan to register for the AMC 8 for your children, then maybe in September or in October, you can purchase this kind of book, because they have some mock exams, and they also have the AMC 8 topics, help students to cover and to practice. And the third part, and the third book is from the AOPS. So this one is also a AMC 8 focused math competition practice book. But this one is not really difficult. This actually the question here in this book, it has a similar difficulty with the question 1 to question 15. But if you want your student maybe to aim to the HR, which is the honor roll or the distinguished honor roll, then then this one is not enough, because this one cannot cover the questions with the difficulty level of question 16 to question 25. Yeah. And the last part, last part is from China. So basically, this is like a middle school US math competition book. This one covered about 90% of the AMC 8, and this one is also have so many AMC 8 mock exams. So this one is really, really great for students. For example, you are gonna take the AMC 8 maybe in January. So in December, you are start to do this question here. You can do the mock exams and also review the part that you may be unfamiliar with. Yeah, these are all other resources I recommend if you really want to do some math competition part. And also we have you can also download our free resource from our Senior Academy official website. I will stay in this page maybe for 30 to 40 seconds to let you scan the QR code. Yeah, because you can also scan the QR code and then you can download our free resources here. We have some Jolly Math. So the Jolly Math basically is like a 300 pages practice, including from the kindergarten to the middle school. So you can just choose this one based on your children's grade. And the second one, we have some math kangaroo practice and some multi exams, and we also have some AMC 8 stuff. Whatever you want to take the math kangaroo or the AMC 8, you are welcome to download the free material from our website. And we also have some AMC 10 stuff. And the last part is about the Workbook Tab. It's our own developed math competition. So you can also download the questions there for them to practice. Yeah, and the website here is www.thethinkacademy.com/resource. You can also search the website on it. But right now, maybe you can scan the QR code. I'm gonna wait here for 30 seconds to just let you to scan it. Yeah, here's our free resource. So maybe you can download it. In that case, you don't have to buy something else. Yeah, this one should be enough, like 300 pages. And if, let me check if you have any questions. Oh, Singapore math. Yes, I just explained about the Singapore math here. Yeah, we have the Singapore math school photo stuff, and also the word problems, and also the dimension math, which is like a math competition track. Yeah, so here is our resources. Maybe you can download from it. Okay, and then I'm kind of move forward to another part. Yeah, and also, when you let your children to do the questions, I think if someone already take our spring semester, third grade math, they should familiar with these questions. Yeah, this question is really difficult. Yeah, when your children do the practice, do the problems, yeah, we should do the practice effectively. Or it's not like competition to see how many questions I did in summer. For example, 1,000, 10,000, or even 100,000 questions. It's kind of meaningless. We're gonna do the practice or do the exercise problems wisely. So actually for each question, especially for the challenging questions or the wrong questions, we need to separate these questions into different knowledge points. In that case, we should know, okay, so which part I got it wrong. So in that case, I should do something to this part, and then after I review it, I should know how to do this kind of whole things. For example, just like this question, we have so many different knowledge points. For example, we know that there should be like the shortest distance between the 2 points is a straight line, and also we have some, the symmetry point between the symmetry of the line should be the same, and we also have, for example, if the isosceles triangle has a top angle which is 60, there should be an equilateral triangle. So even in one question, we have so many different parts that you can see that to check if I mess up the triangle part, or if I mess up the symmetry part, or if I mess up some other part. So in that case, we can summarize our wrong questions, and we can also figure it out. So which part I'm not 100% master. So in that case, I will just look through those topics or the modules. So in that case, we can make progress. It's not just do the question like a machine. Yeah, and here, and I also received some questions related to the difference between the Cine Academy and the RSM, the Reference School of Math. So as I said, in Cine Academy, our class is more and more in depth, and our question is more and more challenging. And for the RSM, I just searched another, a textbook from RSM. Yeah, as you can see here, there's basically no such a relationship between each questions. But I'm not gonna talk more about the RSM here. Yeah, because but as you can see, there's no such a connections. But in Cine Academy, we have such a connections. Yeah. And the last part is actually we have like a in-person summer trial class. So it's only like $5, and you can earn some $30 Think Mark. I don't even have that one. And also about the summer workbooks. So I'm also gonna introduce our summer workbook. We have a special event or special activity here in the next slide. And our trial class here, we have our pre-K stuff from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, on June 28th. And also the incoming K, which is kindergarten, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Friday at 6:30. And also for all other grades, we have the trial class from 4:30 to 6 p.m., which is on the Wednesday on June 28th. You can also scan this QR code, to register for the trial class, and also receive our summer workbooks. And we have a special activity for that. I will stay in this page maybe for 30 seconds to just let you, if you have any interested in that, you can you can scan the QR code and register for that. Yeah, we have our present, and we also have our summer workbooks. I will stay in this page maybe for 20 seconds or 30 seconds to let you just scan the QR code. And for the incoming G1, G2, we have style 2, and from G3, G4, and G5, we have the winning strategy part. And also for our middle school, the elder students, we have the algebraic expressions. You can choose anywhere you want based on your grade. And I will stay in this page maybe for another 10 seconds. And after you enjoy it, you will get $30 Think Mark, like a top stuff. All right, and then I'm gonna move forward to the next one. And also I'm gonna introduce about our summer workbook stuff. yeah, it's a really great chance for students, to join to do the exercise because we have some encouragement activities. All right, I will stay in this page for another 5 seconds, and then I will start to introduce some our summer workbook activities. All right, so this one. So this one is basically our Think Academy Math Mania Club. So actually, when you come here for the trial lessons, you will receive a workbook called Thinkland. It's about like 58 pages to 60 pages. And after you can finish this volume 1, so Thinkland volume 1, you can bring the workbook here. Then after we check it, if everyone finishes correctly and carefully, you will receive 5,000 point card to redeem the gifts. So these are all the point cards. Maybe there are all the gifts that we can redeem here. And once you receive the 5,000 point card, maybe you can redeem some gifts you like. And I think it's a great opportunity for your students or for your children, to just come here and do the summer problems. So because I know that it's really hard for students or for the children to do the exercises at their home, but we have this such a like encouragement or inspired activities. So maybe they will see that, oh, I earned points and I can earn the dates, but just do the questions. So in that case, they may have more they may have more interested on do the math questions here. And we're gonna cover all the age from kindergarten to the middle school. Yeah, this is about like a Math Mania Club. And the last thing, if you have any questions, you can scan the QR code. The upper one will be the WeChat, and the lower one is a WhatsApp. If you want to have some maybe personal suggestions about what exactly some practice or some workbooks that your children want to use, you can also scan the QR code and add me as your contact. I'm really happy to help you about the future, the math study plans, or also other textbooks or workbooks that you maybe want to use for your children. Do they already have the summer workbook? Yep. So basically, do they already have the summer workbooks? If you're already registered for the summer class, then you should have you should receive like one textbook and one extension practice. But for the Thinkland, it's like different workbooks. And it's like you can also, you can come to our front desk and ask for the Thinkland. You say you want to join the Math Mania Club and you want that exercise book. So after your children finish that exercise book, you can bring it here and then get the 5,000 point card. I think it's different. It's not the textbook and the extension practice that we're gonna use in the in the normal class and also in the office hour. Yeah, this should be the difference.
I see. So teacher, Yola, I have one more question. So
yes.
For kids who are already enrolled in summer, do they need to take the trial class to get the summer workbook, or we can just stop by at the front?
Oh, you can just stop by for the summer workbook. It doesn't matter. You don't need to register for the trial class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'm really helpful. I'm really glad to help you here. Yeah, to see if you have any other questions. Or if you don't have any other questions, thank you for coming. So I might see you in the future. Yeah, we'll just wait for any other questions or something like that.
So I had one question.
Yes.
So you mentioned that most advanced book is Math in Focus.
Yes.
So is that also on your website, like some questions if the kids want to?
Well, no, basically Math in Focus is a textbook that the students in Harker is using. So we don't have that textbook.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing we have is thank you. Yeah, the only thing we have is, it's just like a workbook stuff or exercise books.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I will wait maybe for another 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
So will you be sharing the recording?
Yes, I will be share the recording and also the slides to the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
All right, if there is no other questions, then I will end the session. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, someone still coming. Any questions? So if you don't have any questions, then I will just end the session. So thank you for coming. All right, okay. So I'm gonna end the sessions.